And I feel like you can fool people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time, like Bob Marley said. What's up, everybody? I hope you're all doing good. It's a beautiful day. I'm very happy today. What do you think of my hat? Today we're going to talk about something very interesting that has happened. And before we start, let's have a look at this video. We get back after.
The ICC has made a statement in that regard. And as you well know, we are due to host as South Africa the next BRICS summit in August of this year. So yes, indeed, having heard what the ICC has said in relation to President Putin, that matter is under consideration and discussion. And I've often said when I'm asked this, that when the matter is finalized, we will be able to tell everyone, and hopefully including yourself.
So what we're seeing here is very simple. The President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa was asked a question on how is he going to behave, how's the country going to behave when Vladimir Putin of Russia will set foot into it. Is he going to get arrested? I'm just reminding you that the ICC has issued a warrant of arrest for Vladimir Putin on March 17th.
The International Criminal Court has issued 2 warrants of arrest in the Ukraine situation. For Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, and for Maria Lvova-Belova, Commissioner of the Russian President for Children's Rights, for the alleged war crimes of deportation of children from Ukrainian occupied territories into the Russian Federation.
So the question is, how are you going to behave? Are you going to arrest this guy? Are you going to bring him to books? Are you going to bring him to court? Are you going to arrest him in a way that he's going to be sent to Holland and face justice? Justice for what? What happened in Ukraine, the accusation against Putin was that he moved children from Ukraine to Russia. Now, how did he move children from Ukraine to Russia? Because those kids were a target, were going to be a target. They were just about to attack a city, and children were there. In order to avoid damages and losses of life, they took those kids and put them in Russia and transferred them to Russia. That's what happened. So now he's been condemned for crime of war because he took those kids from Ukraine, moving them to another area for their safety. So they've issued this warrant of arrest internationally. Wherever Mr. Putin will set his foot, will be arrested and taken to Hague and thrown into jail. So the question to Cyril Ramaphosa was, are you going to execute this? Because South Africa obviously is part of the ICU. Are you going to do this? Are you going to arrest Putin? Now, let me just remind you, you already know it. South Africa is part of the BRICS group, which brings in Brazil, Russia, South Africa, and other countries. There's obviously India and China coming together to form something very strong economically in order to live a multipolar world. Now, because of that, the biggest news is South Africa has quit ICU. So they're not going to be part of the ICU anymore.
Largely because of the manner in which the ICC has been seen to be dealing with these types of problems. And there's also been commentary, I believe, from Amnesty International, where there's been a reflection on what many people believe is an unfair treatment. And our view is that we would like this matter of unfair treatment to be properly discussed. But in the meantime, the governing party has decided once again that there should be a pull-out.
Enough is enough, they say, because they believe it is not a fair institution. It is not a fair platform. Initially, ICU was created, after the World War II, when we saw so many atrocities happen. Many people passed, many people died, many people were killed in a very tragic, horrendous ways. So in order to bring those people that did those atrocities into books, they needed to create a platform where they will bring them to books, judge them, and condemn them. The idea was great. The idea was perfect. However, some countries decided not to sign this agreement. Only certain countries signed, many other countries refused to sign. Obviously, as you can see this map, this card, you can see which country decided not to sign, not to be part of the ICU. It's such a lovely idea. Let's bring into books the people that do bad things, atrocity and horrendous things, and you decide not to sign. Why? Why would you not sign? One of the main reasons I believe you would not sign is because you know you do some of those things, because you know you're going to be part of those things. You don't want to be brought into accountability for the nasty things you do to other human beings. The United States of America is not signed, China is not not sign. Russia was signed and left after for some reason, they chose. So many other countries, slowly, they got to realize that the ICU was not actually a fair community, but it was favoring some group of people. Why do they say that? Because they believe Tony Blair and George Bush should have been brought to books into the ICU for the things they had done in Iraq. Do you remember, guys, at the time, the main reason why the US and Britain went to war in Iraq, because they said they had intelligence of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So in order to save the world, they had to go to Iraq and destroy this weapon. Now, if Saddam Hussein does not agree onto the terms of bringing international people to go check, we're going to go and bombard them. What did they say in the United Nations? They said, we have intelligence, 100% sure intelligence. They said, either you are with us or you are against us. They went to war and destroyed this country completely. Everything that was existing was inexistent. Is Iraq free today? If you don't bring those people into books, into explaining themselves for the lives that were lost in Iraq and many other countries, why would you look at anybody else? That's what many people call the hypocrisy of the West. Today, South Africa has said it clearly. They're not going to be part of the ICU anymore. They're not going to be part of an organization that's only condemned a specific type of people, not others. You know what this feels like? It feels like a post-colonial organization where you bring those guys that you used to colonize a long time ago. Since you can't do it openly today, it's not acceptable. We can still get you, pull your leg and tie you up. And if you don't listen to us, we're going to see you ICU. So many countries decided not to do it, not to implement it anymore. Let me just remind you again, in 2015, South Africa was asked to arrest al-Bashir of Sudan when he came to Johannesburg. They said he was condemned and therefore South Africa had to send him to Hague to be put in jail. At the time, the president of South Africa refused to do it. They said, we cannot do that. He's under humanity, international humanity. We cannot arrest this president. And they received a lot of pressure, a lot of criticism saying, why you don't do this? Why don't you respect the rules? South Africa at the time decided to leave the ICU, but then they were convinced to stay despite on all that. But now they said enough is enough. And many experts feel like the reason why South Africa is leaving the ICU now is so that it can have a legitimate reason not to arrest Vladimir Putin. It's diplomacy. It's just being clever. And I feel like you can fool people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time, like Bob Marley said. And again, this is what I've learned when I was a kid. When you are a strong guy and you beat on everybody, okay, you can intimidate everybody. You get to a point where people don't like you anymore. They can't stand you anymore because you're just nasty and it's not nice. And when you're strong, you don't have to get into any other issue. Any problems that come into the community, don't get involved. That's what I was told. Don't get involved. Just stay away. Stay at bay. Don't get involved in every situation that you see. Any culprits, they don't need you as a police. If you become the police of everybody, then everybody will start hating you and not liking you very much. Now, the BRICS reunion or meeting that is planned for August is meant to bring all the BRICS people together to discuss about what currency they're going to be using for international transaction. You know that for many years, the United States have used the dollar as a weapon, meaning if you don't listen to us, we're going to close your bank account. You listen to us, you have no transaction. Many people have suffered. And if you make people suffer repeatedly, they learn to find ways across your suffering machine. And I feel like this is what the BRICS groups have done, trying to find ways to interact, to transact without necessarily having to go through the United States institutions and platforms. Many countries have expressed their will, their need to join BRICS. Interesting. Many African countries, Algeria, some East African countries. And I feel like this is where you go when you rule with power all the time, when you don't give other people the opportunity to express themselves, when there's no freedom, when there's no people doing their own things. Yeah, it comes a time when people just revolt. They just cannot handle it anymore. So it's fight or die. And this is what's happening right now. And everybody's choosing a side for his survival. Props to South Africa, fellas. Lots of respect for South Africans, for the struggle they've had. They've gone through many things, many hardships. Up until 1994, South Africa was still under the hand of colonialism, oppressors, and our brothers in Asia have fought very hard to get things back on track. And today, they express it. They're expressing it very openly. The reason why I believe they try to get South Africa to arrest Putin is it's a message. They're trying to send a message. When you try to beat a group of people, what you need to do is you need to beat on the strongest guy. Okay, you need to beat on the strongest guy. They did it in colonialism, in slavery. They will take the strongest guy and put him on the floor, beat the living crap out of him, let him cry, and some will even sodomize him in front of his children so that everybody will catch fear and not react. Because when you see the strong guy in your group get beaten, you're scared, you fear for your life. South Africa is one of the giants of Africa, along Nigeria and some other countries. So the best way to control most of African countries with regard to Putin depend on how South Africa reacts to this demand of arresting Vladimir Putin on his arrival in Johannesburg. Thank you very much, fellas. I appreciate you. Let me know how you feel. I'm just happy that Africans are waking up. They have more freedom to express themselves. And obviously, once you do that, they're They're gonna find reasons not to interact with you. They're gonna try to make you feel bad, try to gaslight you and many other things. We know how it functions. We know how it works. God bless.